Hello, this is Alvin here and welcome back to the SmartB YouTube channel. Today we're going to share about one of our strengths and one of our fortes, which is to help our customers track their goods using barcode scanners and barcode stickers. In a nutshell, today we're going to share about how we can help you improve your efficiency in the use of barcodes. Okay, so we will start with some simple and basic information about barcoding. You can see there are a few types of barcodes. There are 1D barcodes, 2D barcodes, and QR barcodes. QR is currently in trend, and it's more popular because of the amount of information you can put in there. However, for many who don't know or not aware, QR code is also a type of 2D barcode, right? In a nutshell, there are many types of 1D and 2D barcodes, predominantly based on various manufacturing requirements, regional requirements, and category requirements. So, for example, ISBN is a lot more in the books. Code 1 to 8 is generic product codes, and then of course 2D we've got QR code, we've got dot matrix, and PDF is usually what is used by courier companies like DHL and UPS. Okay, in a summary, the type of barcode is actually less important. Think of it as a language, right? The person can be speaking in French, Spanish, Malay, or Chinese, or even English, but the message is the same, and they might say 1, 2, 3, and then in Malay 1, 2, 3. So unless you are tuned into that language or the frequency, you will not understand. And that's how the barcode works. The more important thing to realize is what kind of information do you want to put into the barcode. And this is something that is important when you want to design a more efficient warehouse system or tracking system, and so on and so forth. So in our case, something very typical that we always do is to be able to group them, to be able to group the information at certain hierarchy level. So a simple example would be I may have a pallet, and then the pallet has a code of P001, and P001 could be barcoded, right? So from there, within P001, there are multiple containers. Containers are like your boxes, your big square storage containers, and so on and so forth. And then within those containers or boxes, you will have your items in place, right? So in this case, you have I001, 002 that are kept inside container C001. Okay, so to give you a more visual effect, we have the pallet on the left hand side, then the boxes or containers, and then we have the individual items. And as you can see very clearly, all of them could have a simple barcode for tracking purpose, right? And because of the ability to group them in certain ways, more often than not, I don't have to scan every item. So for example, I might have a camera on the right hand side that has a serial number 10001. I put these cameras into the box, and there might be, say, 20 units of cameras in one box. Now, instead of scanning 20 times or 20 serial numbers, I just have to scan one container or the QR code of this container. Okay. Now, likewise, if I have 20 boxes or 30 boxes that I want to put in a pallet, instead of scanning the 20 or 30 boxes, I just have to scan that one pallet, and that one pallet will represent all the boxes inside the pallet, and at the same time, it could also represent all the serial numbers within those containers that are within those pallets, right? You can see the hierarchy and how all of a sudden you can make tracking using barcode very efficient. Okay. Now, this is just a simple example. We then move on to say Some of the common usage of barcode scanners including staff ID, location ID, and sometimes reference to important documents, which I'll share a little bit more. So staff ID, you could have your employee ID number that you translate to QR code or barcode, or sometimes in warehouses you have bin locations, which I've actually explained in another of my video. You have bin locations or rack locations where you can also put a barcode for traceability. Moving on from that, there are also not so common usages of barcode and QR code stickers. For example, I could eventually create a QR code that actually gives me a URL on a web link. In this example, some of my clients, they have the barcode, they will scan it, they have the URL, and the URL will give them product information like product description, manufacturing details, ingredients, and so on and so forth. Now, from our perspective, we then take that URL and convert it to an item code. So in this example, we call it a mapping table. If the QR code gives me a URL that says abcde.com, in my system, I will straight away recognize to say abcde.com equals to I003. Right, so that's one not so common usage. The other one is, well, I would say quite common in some industries and not so common in some industries. What we can do is we've helped our customers put a QR code of, so in this case is a tax invoice, so we might take the invoice number and make it a QR code, and instead of reading the invoice number manually, the warehouse people or the admin can just scan the QR code. And this is very important because if you were to read from the invoice number, there are potential human errors where number 5 might look like number 3 or number 8 might look like number 3 and so on and so forth, right? Because the printing material wasn't good or it might get blurred. So in this case, as an added control or safety net, putting a barcode would be absolutely brilliant, and more importantly, saves you tremendous amount of time. Last in my example is what we call unique verification code. So some of you might have seen Apple ID's verification code that pops up in this example 338409. What we can also do is we can translate that into a barcode so that by reading a barcode, no one can actually scan that number. In fact, it's a one-time use. As soon as you have a device reading the code, scan, and the system automatically knows that it has been used. Very efficient, very quick, and it can be used in different industries. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the session and hopefully you've learned something interesting. More importantly, if you think you have questions that you need help with in terms of how we can improve your warehouse, shoot us a message. And the most important thing is click like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you soon.